Hello, my gorgeous, good looking friends. Tonight, we had two interviews, and they couldn't have been more different from one another. Overall, in my opinion, this arrogant mofo was totally gaslighting in both interviews. It was pure manipulation in what he did, specific to each of the interviews. And I'm going to show you in a series of videos covering all of these interviews that are going to be happening over the next couple days. My blood pressure was rising because he was on purpose eliminating specific details that would have been relevant to the accusations that he was making. And with this series, facts will not care about Harry's feelings because we're going to fill in those gaps that he so conveniently left out. In my opinion, Tom Bradby gave the better interview. He did try to challenge Harry a little bit. There was a point where it did get uncomfortable, and you could see that Harry was not too pleased. And he became defensive and almost challenging Tom Bradby back, where you could see Tom Bradby looked a little uncomfortable and a bit frustrated towards the end. Let's take a look at some of those tense moments. So, this is towards the end of the interview, 7 minutes left, and Tom decides to ask about the Oprah interview. You can tell that Tom is nervous to broach this subject. Look at Harry's face.
In the Oprah interview, you accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even, well,
the British press said that.
What a jerk. Look how quickly he responded, and look at his face. Now, Bradbury's trying to challenge Harry, and you could see that he's trying to find the right words because this is a delicate subject, and here you have Harry just outright saying, no, we never did say that. But all their behaviors, like most recently going to accept an award at the Ripple of Hope for structural racism, going along on this narrative to manipulate the public thinking that the family is racist, or at least coming to that conclusion. So they may not have said the word racist, but the conversations that they've been having around skin color, yeah, that is racist.
Right. Did Meghan ever mention they were racist?
Do you see how arrogant this guy is? And Tom Bradby starts fumbling with his words because he can see that he is dominating now the conversation.
She said there were troubling comments about
There was concern about his skin color.
Right.
He wouldn't even let Tom finish. And throughout this interview, he did a lot of interrupting and talking over Tom Bradby. Look how angry he looks right now. His chin is up. He's like got this stare on him. Like,
wouldn't you describe that as essentially
I
racist?
wouldn't, not having lived within that family.
This face says it all because you can tell he realizes that Harry's not fully there.
Right.
So
you
again,
don't-
going back to the difference.
So Harry catches on and he starts backpedaling and making up an excuse that is extremely lame.
Between what my understanding is, because of my own experience, the difference between racism and unconscious bias, the two things are different.
Don't worry, if you feel like you want to throw your remote against the TV, I was there today. Because what Harry is doing is gaslighting not only Tom Bradby, but he's gaslighting the audience. Is he denying something was ever said? Yes. Is he trying to make you question that you are the one that's crazy and that that's not the reality? Yes. I will come back to this from time to time as we go through this, so you can see that clearly what he had been doing was trying to manipulate this conversation.
But once it's been acknowledged or pointed out to you as an individual or as an institution that you have unconscious bias, you therefore have an opportunity to learn and grow from that in order so that you are part of the solution rather than part of the problem.
Let me remind you where we're at. He asked about the Oprah interview and the topic of racism in the family.
Otherwise, unconscious bias then moves into the category of racism.
Like what?
But I suppose, isn't there a danger that people are going to think bad? You haven't identified which members of the...
And right before he responds, look how angry Harry looks at Tom Bradby for bringing up this subject. And I'm willing to guess that this was not on the list of questions that they were supposed to go over and talk about, because this came up at the very end of this interview. And what is interesting, well, not interesting, but the same questions that were asked in the Anderson Cooper interview matched these questions. So it was pretty much the same thing. Anderson did not bring up this question about the Oprah interview. So you can tell that Harry is pissed off.
family?
And I will never talk about that. I mean, what happened to Ngozi Fulani is a very good example
Tom's not feeling it. And look how quickly Harry got off the topic to talk about Nagazi Fugazi, right?
Of the environment within the institution, and why after the Oprah interview they said that they were going to bring in a diversity czar. That hasn't happened.
So now he deflects and puts it right back onto the family, saying that they didn't do this. They said they were going to hire a diversity czar. Look, I don't know what's going on with the diversity czar. However, they have made certain changes within the palace regarding HR that I think Tom should have brought up. He should have brought up the bullying. And what these two are desperately trying to do is to pretend that that Oprah interview never happened. So at this moment, everybody's sort of confused with Harry's word salad. Look, if I was Tom and doing this interview, I would have raised this clip up and put it in front of him at this moment.
That they weren't going to be kept safe.
You certainly must have had some conversations with Harry about it and have your own suspicions as to why they didn't want to make Archie a prince. What are those thoughts? Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because of his race? And I know that's a loaded question, but
I can give you an honest answer. In those months when I was pregnant, all around this same time, so we had in tandem the conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title.
So what I did is I just cut out the filler words and took Oprah's question. You think it's about race? Listen to it now.
do you think it's because of his race?
And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
The topic of race, and then talking about the color of the child's skin and not being given the same advantages, that's racism. So, Harry, stop playing a fool. You know what you did on the Oprah show. Just come forward and own it. Stop being a jackass.
Everything they said was going to happen hasn't happened. I've always been open to wanting to help them understand their part in it.
Harry, what have you done to show them their part in this? Oh, wait, the Netflix documentary where you discredited your own grandmother and tried to tarnish her legacy? Or the targeted hate campaigns and the manipulation from behind the curtain in painting this false narrative?
No way. No way. I want to see the receipts. I want to see the receipts.
And especially when you are the monarchy, you have a responsibility, and quite rightly, people hold you to a higher standard than others. Certainly the media should, right? So the way that I've learnt it through my own experience and from what I've seen and what I've heard, yes, you're right, the key word is concern, which was troubling. But you speak to any other couple, mixed race couple around the world, and you will probably find that the white side of the family have either openly discussed it or secretly discussed, what are the kids going to look like? And that is part of a, bigger conversation that needs to be had. But
That's racist!
to say that that doesn't happen around the rest of the world, but it just happened there, that's not true. But again, for me, the difference is unconscious bias and racism. But if you are called out for unconscious bias, you need to make that right.
No, Harry, don't get that twisted. Oprah asked about race, and your wife responded with a family member asking about the color of their skin. That's not unconscious bias. That's blatantly saying that somebody in your family was conscious enough to ask the question about what color skin the child was going to have, followed up by taking away privileges and titles and things that the rest of the white family members were getting. That your child, because your child's skin color, according to your stupid wife, who tried to pull a fast one on the audience despite knowing the rules in the convention, and it had nothing to do with your child's skin color, but your wife thought that it would be cute to throw that out there to make the American audience infuriated because race relations was at an all-time high at this moment in the country during that time. And your wife thought to exploit that for her own selfish gain. So I need you to just kind of dial it back, Harry. People came to their own conclusion that your wife and you were calling the family racist because of the words that came out of your own mouths. So stop blaming the paper for this. Don't twist this. Don't spin this. Your wife accused your family of being racist. Period. There's no confusion. There's no unconscious bias. Meghan's made up story is what you call racism.
And you have the opportunity and the choice to, but if you choose not to, then that rapidly becomes something much more serious.
And there we go, guys. That's projection. We all know that he's been gaslighting and fueling race tensions between the United States and the UK, so cut it out. If you love your father and your brother like you professed in both of these heavily scripted and rehearsed interviews, then you would know that the hatred that you're spewing is jeopardizing also your family's safety. So stick a sock in it, Harry. There's so much to go over within this video, but I'm going to leave you guys with the best part, at least what I thought was the best part of the interview, in which Tom Bradby pushed back. And I think it's the most that I've ever seen a journalist with Harry do, and put Harry in his place. And you can tell that Harry didn't like it. I applaud Tom Bradby for doing it, because Anderson Cooper just kind of fed Harry the script. And we'll go over that too as well. But check this out.
Probably the most famous person on the planet right now. Like, if it's not a horrible article in a newspaper, it's going to be out there on Twitter. So what your family might say to you is that...
If you notice, Harry doesn't like where this conversation is going. You can actually see the anxiety start to creep up. You can see he's grinding his teeth, he's swallowing more, he's like almost impatient. But watch this.
You just can't. You got to let it go. You can't fight it all. And I understand your narrative is, if I don't stand up to what I don't believe, but isn't there a danger that, given your background and trauma, you're maybe not taking the most logical view of this, as in your...
This face says it all. I mean, he really believes that he is the smartest tool in the shed. He's so arrogant. He thinks he knows everything. I'm so glad that Tom Bradby knocked him down a few pegs, because that's exactly it. Just let it go. You can't control everything.
It's as in, you're permanently at war and seeing the media as kind of one entity.
No, not permanently at war at all.
Tom is 100% right. And the thing that gets me about Harry is that he didn't even want to bend a little bit. It was his way. He's right. Very close-minded, not willing to listen because he kept interrupting and talking over Tom. You'll see as I dig through this over the next couple days, Harry is, really fixed on this narrative, and he's going to shove it down everybody's throat without providing any receipts, nor taking any accountability for any of the drama that has happened over the last 6 years, because now he's talking about the full 6-year window. So at the end, Tom asks Harry if he's happy, and this is what he says.
I'm very, very happy. I'm very at peace. I am in a better place than I've ever been.
Harry's not fooling anybody. He's not happy. And what's really funny is that in the 60 Minutes interview, this was the screenshot or the photo that Anderson Cooper had behind him as he was talking. Does that look like a happy man? That looks like a very angry and bitter man. But we will conquer all of that in due time. There's so much to go over from the ITV interview that is going to take me a few videos to get through it. As far as the Anderson Cooper and tomorrow's Good Morning America, as well as the Stephen Colbert show, it's all going to be softball. Exactly what Anderson did today, Michael Strahan's going to do tomorrow, and we're going to see the same thing with Stephen Colbert. Pretty much the same questions being asked, and it's going to be the same answers. It'll be interesting to see how they all compare. I will be back soon with another review video, but until then, turn on your notification bell buttons. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.
It was such a fraud.